a horse park, and we are in the tadpole, also called intro, also called entry division. So coming down the center line for our test, it's beginner novice test A. And you come down the center line to X, which is an imaginary letter in between B and E, and then you cross the diagonal to M, and that's to help the young horses not have to trot straight to the judge's box. So you can see he's still a little stiff on the left rein, but he's actually feeling way more relaxed with this, his second time in dressage ring, as I can get a little bit closer to the boards. And he's starting to open up through his neck. He gets a little bit, I lose a little bit of his focus on the side next to where the schooling arenas are and the other horses, but he's really starting to relax, which is a great feeling. So coming into the corner, I'm going to prepare for my canter transition. That's pretty good, and I want to make sure I ride him forward. Keep the engine from the hind leg, as he has such a big canter stride. So you see my hips are swinging. And he just lost his focus a little bit right there, as the down transition was supposed to be in between F and B, so that was a little early. And then we did our walk transition. And he still wants to give a little bit of space. Wasn't able to go really into the corners, but it's good enough for right now. So we walk across the diagonal for our free walk. Actually is feeling pretty good. And you'll notice I'm still in my jump saddle right now. It's not really that important that they're in a dressage saddle at the moment. And this is what they are most comfortable in right now. Both him and Y do their dressage tests in a jump saddle. So that is why I'm in a jump saddle. Now coming to our transition to trot at K. Again, he's very workmanlike. Picks up the trot pretty nicely. And he's starting to learn to open his neck and stretch down and out over his back. That's just a work in progress, and that will develop more as he gets more relaxed. And just do a little opening rein, preparing for the canter. He did that really well, considering we're by the judges. And then I just lost his focus. You can see his ears kind of pricked up right there. That's because someone was walking across the lawn. It was a photographer. He just, for a split second, broke to the trot. And then he had a down transition. Now we're pretty much finished up. I'm really actually having to use a fair amount of leg, because again, I want him coming from behind and over the top of his back. And now we cross the diagonal to the imaginary letter X and to our halt at G, which is in between B, M, and H. And he was super good. Very pleased with him. That test put him in third. It was a very big improvement from his last test, scoring a 34.2. And this is the first time for him at the horse park. So on we go to our show jump, and I was very proud of how he was handling all of those people. For if anyone knows Eton from the past, that would have been very difficult. We have still a little bit of stranger danger, but it's getting better and better every time he goes out. So coming into the show jump ring, We're going to work on picking up our canter. And he still likes to pop to the trot every now and then. He just has to process things a little slower, which is fine. Very good over fence 1. Try to pick up the correct lead. And any chance I get, I'm going to ask him to canter where he feels comfortable. And then I'm just going to let him trot again where he feels comfortable. And he has a really great hind end. Going to fence 4. Canter that one. And this is all about him just gaining experience so he can have a toolbox or a word bank to pull from. He actually jumped that really well. Now heading to there's a combination right by the judges, which is actually a lot for a tadpole or entry horse. And so, we have a little bit of the Eton bolt. I kind of had to grab the one rein to do a one rein stop. And that purely was because he was a little bit spooked at the people right next to the box. And then when he jumped the rail, it just kind of sent him on. So just gave him a little bit of a pat. They fixed the rail, and I'm going to attempt it again. This time he jumps that, and he still wants to go a little right, but was able to get it done. So again, that's going to be a experience for him. And now we're heading to the last line. She gave in a good canter stride there. And we jumped the last. So I was pleased with it overall. It's a lot to ask a greener horse to do a combination like that right next to the judge's box.
That's what you get.
Right after you needed it. Right? You needed that experience. You could jump the double. Right after you thought you couldn't. Okay. Okay. And then you're done. You're your little rock star today.
And after we switched some tack, well, I put on my cross-country vest. We headed to cross-country. And again, you'll see some gators following riders. That's how they're doing the jump judging. Which a big thank you to our volunteers. So he jumped the first fence, nice. I actually had to get his focus right here because you'll see a gator coming right in front of us. And we're heading to fence 2. I'm just trying to get his eye on it. And he has a very powerful jump because he kicks out a little bit behind. I still have to work on him bringing his shoulders up a little bit better. So that's just weight on the hind end and his balance a little bit. And now we're heading to fence 3, which fence 3 has some alternating colors of log. And I'm coming to it. I'm going to try to keep my shoulder back as we come through the trees. And we had to stop. I thought for one second I might hit the dirt. As he stopped kind of at the last minute when he gets worried. That's a little bit what he does, but I wanted to make sure I kept the right rein, and then I come right around to it. So whenever I have horses that give a run out or a stop, I try to minimize it as soon as I can. So get them to slow down or not to go past the fence and to come right back around as soon as possible so they learn that it's okay to jump it. And he was perfectly fine the second time. And then he pops right over fence 4. And these jumps are good experience for them because the varying in colors and is again something for him to kind of log in his little log book of things that he has done, because this is his third cross country now, and we've never been to the Florida Horse Park. Haven't had time to kind of get them out and give them a school here. So I'm really pleased at how relaxed he's feeling. And I'm just going to let him just go for a little lope around. He pops right over that. Now we're going to head to the ditch. He's pretty brave about ditches. And come around this turn. And I'm going to pull my body back over my hips. Kind of slide my rein so he has his head and neck to take a look at it. And he does that fairly nicely. And for the tadpole, the optimum time was 4:37. Now, we ended up being over that because of our little blips on cross country, and I let him kind of take his time in certain spots. He jumps that coop really lovely, nice and out of rhythm how I want it. Now we're coming to another jump that's got some kind of bright white on it right before the water. So he's going to give me a little bit of a wiggle here. Thought I had it, and then he just dropped his shoulder. So I'm going to grab that left rein, do a little flex left to make him stop, or one rein stop. And then he jumped right over it. And into the water. Just let him give him a second. And it's really important on those stops because it can kind of like sucks you in. It kind of felt like he was going to go, and the last minute he dropped his shoulder right. So it's really important to have a good core. Afterwards, I was like, why is my core sore? And it was because I had to work to stay on a little bit. So we jumped fence 10, and then we had a good little canter on down, heading down to our last fence. Ears are pricked. Try to keep it pretty nice and positive. And then heading to the last fence. But you have that white on there, and he jumped that really nice. So overall, I was super pleased. I had a couple of run outs. That's not that big of a deal. It's just building his confidence, and he'll get it all sorted out. And I was really proud of his demeanor and how well he did. And just the fact that he can go past all those people right there and not really pay too much mind to them and walk back to the trailer on the buckle is a big deal for Eton. So super proud of him. Very pleased.
That was exciting.
Was it the gator?
No, it was the jumps that had like funky coloring on them.
Okay.
Because he comes up, he kind of lulls you a little bit. He comes up and he doesn't necessarily give me warning until like the last stride, and goes, whoop, whoop. I'm like, oh, it's gonna fall off.
Because the only time it seemed to happen also, there's always a gator nearby. But mind you, there was always a gator nearby.
Yeah, no, it was like the funky colored ones, like fence 3. And I kind of asked him to go a little bit more forward. So he's just having to learn the process. That's good for him. That's why we come to do this. And like, he's learning that all of this is okay.